So I posted this video on Twitter a couple weeks ago. So yesterday I posted a video saying I got a new package with a new keyboard that I'm going to review. And I decided to go a step further and really review it by using it until I'm done with the review. So I'm going to be writing all my scripts and editing all my videos on this thing. Yes, I am going to try and do it. So stay tuned for the review in like a week or two. And I kept my promise. This video was scripted and edited on this keyboard. Hey guys, I'm here, and this is the $15 wireless wannabe Apple keyboard. So let's see if it's worth it. Before we start with the review, I'd like to welcome you, the viewer. If you're new here, I do phone reviews, I do app reviews, I do guides, I do this thing called Gadget Extravaganza, where I show cool gadgets I find, be that wearables, be that how to cable manage your cables. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Right off the bat, an inspection of the outside. The BK3001 BA Bluetooth wireless English keyboard aluminum alloy / ABS computer peripheral - English keyboard silver white looks pretty much like an Apple keyboard you would get with your iMac forever ago. Which, don't get me wrong, is pretty nice with this sort of metal finish, but it's definitely plastic with a little bit of flex, but nothing too crazy. It has this sort of tactile feedback, but not like the original one. In fact, take a listen. And while we're on the subject, here's a size comparison between the BK3001, an original full-size Apple keyboard, and the Razer Black Widow Chroma that I'm using. And now back to the small one. It has some elevation due to the 4 rubber feet on the bottom and Apple's design, but with a little bit of curve, especially visible on the spacebar, which you're never gonna look anyways, but here's a shot. But it's definitely nice to use. And the whole point of this video, if you caught my cables extravaganza video linked here, was that I would get a wireless keyboard to get rid of the cable that is running through my desk. And this definitely does it. It's small, it's nice to use, and it saves space. On the back, instead of 2 ports on either side like the original Apple keyboard, you will find the cover for the 2 AAA batteries used to power this, a connect button, and an on-off switch, which is pretty self-explanatory. On the front, you can see some keys have blue words or icons on them, and those are associated with the FN key down at the bottom left of the keyboard. So let's talk about that. As you can see here, written in blue letters on the Q, W, and E keys are the words Apple, Android, and Windows. That's because the keyboard is Bluetooth, and it's therefore compatible with all the systems that have Bluetooth connection. Therefore, Apple, Android, and Windows. And like I said on my cable extravaganza video, if your computer does not have Bluetooth on its own, you can buy a small adapter to be able to use this keyboard. They're fairly cheap. So now, depending on which mode you're on, the keys on the top are going to have different functions, or might not be working. I tested this keyboard on my Windows 10 machine, and I pressed every single one of the top keys using all 3 modes. First up, Apple mode, because it's on the Q, so like I said, you press the function key on the bottom left, and then the mode you want to select. Escape opens the default browser. F1 nothing, F2 nothing, F3 nothing, F4 nothing, F5 Cortana, F6 changes language, F7 previous track, F8 play pause, F9 next track, F10 mutes, F11 lowers the volume, F12 raises the volume. Android mode. Escape opens the default browser, F1 does nothing, F2 opens the mail app, F3 right clicks, F4 opens Windows Media Player, which I guess is the default media player, F5 Cortana, F6 presses space for some reason. And again,
F7 previous track, F8 play pause, F9 next track, F10 mutes, F11 lowers the volume, F12 raises
the volume. And now Windows mode. Escape does nothing, F1 does nothing, F2 does nothing, F3 does nothing, F4 does nothing, F5 opens Cortana, F6 if pressed twice opens the Alt menu, like simulates pressing Alt on the keyboard, F7 previous track, F8 play pause, F9 next track, F10 mute, F11 lowers the volume, F12 raises the volume. Admittedly, it's not the fastest thing in the world when it comes to typing. It misses a couple of keystrokes every now and then, and it's especially visible when you're pressing backspace because you have to tap it real fast to get rid of that word. So missing every other keystroke is not very helpful. Now the thing is, it might be my adapter, and of course there is no comparison between the Razer keyboard and this keyboard. After a while I managed to get up to speed and type fast enough, but not as fast as I am typing on the Razer keyboard. And like I said, I would be typing and it would miss every other keystroke. And the funny thing is, and it might sound weird, that a keyboard this small would need more pressure to register a keystroke than a humongous thing like the Razer Black Widow. But that's thanks to Razer's green switches, which are doing an excellent job even after the years that I've been using this keyboard. So again, compared to the Black Widow, this keyboard is tiny. But again, that was the whole point of the video. It was getting rid of that huge cable that the Chroma has and having a lot more space for other things, like fidget spinner. And being so tiny, it clearly doesn't have a number pad, which I use like all the time. I know many people don't use a number pad, but I do. Now, some other cons. I personally was getting confused with the FN Control-Alt-Command layout on the bottom compared to Control Windows Alt. Can't tell you how many times I was pressing FN backspace or FN this, FN that, and I thought I was pressing Control and nothing was happening. Also, the keyboard combinations or keyboard macros or keyboard shortcuts that I use to edit my videos were super hard to press because this thing is tiny and my fingers were like this. The arrow keys are tiny. I mean, yeah. And like I said, there's no USB on either side, unlike the original Apple keyboard. But those cons are just personal cons. They're not keyboard cons. The keyboard is fine overall. Will I be switching to this keyboard instead of the Black Widow? Well, no. Because like I said, there are some things like keyboard shortcuts that I use every day and this doesn't cut it. And even though it's nice and small and saves up space, the Black Widow has macro keys that I can program to whatever, and this one does not. So thanks for watching, guys. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know with a comment down below if you're considering picking one up or if you have any questions. Click the circle in the middle to subscribe to my channel. Click the video on the left to go to a random video on the channel, or click the box on the right to go to the last video I uploaded, which I know was ages ago.